Welcome back, boxing fans, to another great show with Sean on boxing. So I see a lot of the Tank Davis fanboy channels coming out full force, attacking anybody that's critical of Tank Davis, even though these channels are critical of everybody not Tank Davis. So it's okay for them to be critical of other fighters, but it's not okay for people to be critical of Tank Davis. Explain that to me. I mean, these people can be critical of who Canelo Alvarez isn't fighting, or the fact that Inui only fights in Japan, but yet you can't be critical of Tank Davis. There's no way you can explain that, because there's no way in explanation that it makes any fucking sense at all. Two fighters who've accomplished way more than Tank Davis, one of whom is only 1 year older than Tank Davis, they can be criticized amongst many other fighters as well, most of whom have also done more than Tank Davis. Yet when you criticize Tank Davis, it's kind of like criticizing Israel. All of a sudden, all the labels come out and they try to downplay any of the reality, facts, and rationale that you may be spitting, right? We know these channels, the Fannins, the Egos, the Knockout Boxings, and many more. And it's ridiculous how these people can blatantly come out, make a million videos clout chasing Tank Davis in his name to try to make money off of YouTube and AdSense, and basically exploit Tank Davis so that their subscribers will throw them money. It's cool. People got to make a living, but it's just the exploitation that's going on involved. Yet have the nerve to then come out and say people are just using Tank Davis to get clicks. Well, isn't that what your channels are based on? I mean, when we talk about specifically Knockout Boxing and Fannin, literally, they come out with a Tank Davis video every fucking day. Literally, every fucking day. I ain't joking. I ain't making this shit up. You can go to their channels, check it out, and see for yourself. At least Ego, he's got a bit more mixed in with his content, but still, nonetheless, he is one amongst many of these irrational Tank Davis fans. Right? And to criticize Tank Davis because of what he's not doing is not hating on Tank Davis. Right? We knew when he was part of the Floyd Mayweather stable that he was being used and protected by Floyd and the PBC to make money. Right? Fighting Latino fighters on pay-per-view. Sort of following in footsteps of what Floyd Mayweather did that was successful for him. The difference is, of course, Tank Davis is a much more exciting fighter to watch than Floyd Mayweather was, because he scores sensational knockouts. That's something that was missing from Floyd Mayweather. So they figure maybe they could even cash out more with Tank Davis, because he brings that Mike Tyson-esque quality that Floyd Mayweather didn't have. But the reality is, it doesn't matter how exciting you are, how many pay-per-views your promoter and the networks try to shove down boxing fans' throats. When it comes down to it, it's about who have you fought and what have you done. Like, ultimately, those are the ways people are going to judge your career, right? Of course, we have some people now that use pound-for-pound tests based on the eye test. Of course, the eye test is a great way to measure a boxer's ability, because it's the most subjective thing you could do, because your opinion could be 100 times different than everybody else's. There's no way to quantify it. There's no way to measure it so that everybody could see what you see. It's all based on your eye. So now everybody has to take your word for it based on your biased opinion, right? Like, it's the most irrational way to ever make a pound-for-pound list. But from irrational fanboy channels, what would you expect? Nothing. This is exactly what you would expect, right? As opposed to weight divisions that you've conquered, unified titles, champions you fought, world title fights you've been involved in. Like, all these things are quantifiable. I can look at it, you can look at it, Joe Schmo can look at it, the guy from Japan can look at it, the guy from Mexico can look at it, the guy from fucking England can look at it, and we'll all see the same thing. We'll see guys like Inui, a 4-weight world champion, a guy who's been undisputed in 2 weight divisions, right? All the world champions he's beaten. I think it's 13 off the top of my head. I could be wrong. Maybe it's 14. And all the world title fights he's been involved in, which is a lot, right? I think at this point it's like 20. You know, he's closing in on Floyd Mayweather's vaulted number, I think, of 28 or whatever the case may be, right? You look at Canelo Alvarez, also a four-weight world champion, fighter who's a undisputed 168-pound champion. Obviously was unified at middleweight, was also unified, I think, at 154 pounds as well. Obviously didn't unify at 175, but maybe this next year he will. Maybe he'll fight better BF and try to become the undisputed unified 175-pound champion. That would be unreal. But, you know, let's wait and see what he does. So it's easy to quantify what these guys have done. You can look at their resumes, the people they fought, the world titles they've won, the world champions they've beaten to win titles. All of these things are easily assessed by anybody. The haters, the fans, doesn't matter. But with Tank Davis, it's also easy to see what he hasn't done. And that's where the criticism comes from. The fact that since he's moved to 135 pounds, he's never fought a world champion. So you've been in this weight class, what, 4-5 years now, right? And literally you've never fought a world champion. You've never won a world title from beating a champion. You were just elevated to your world title at 135 pounds because you never won a title at that weight, right? The title you beat Gamboa for was not a legitimate title. It was a baby belt. Just like the belt you beat Barrios for at 140, also a baby belt. The only legitimate titles you've won, both were at 130 pounds, right? One against Petraza, one against Leo Santa Cruz. The other one you won in between was also a baby belt where you were elevated above the man that beat the man. So I don't even know how you explain that shit, but go back and check out the reality of the situation, right? This is a guy who's never unified and gets praised because I think he fought 10 world champions. Okay. But meanwhile, I can talk about fighters who fought way more world champions, have unified and won, you know, more impressive accommodations or accomplishments in their career. Yet these people get criticized and called hype jobs and overrated. Yet people call Tank Davis the face of American boxing. I mean, if that's not a hype job title or an overrated title, I don't know what is. It's like calling yourself TBE, right? Like the audacity of calling yourself that. You know, it's almost as ignorant as fucking Chris Shields, you know, calling herself the GWOAT. You know, the fact that these people give themselves titles, they're not given to them. They're not something they've earned and that media and boxing fans have crowned them with, right? Because historically, that's what happened. You were crowned with the monikers, with the nicknames. But these guys just pick the nicknames and then push it as if somehow they've invented it, right? Nobody else can be TBE because, well, that's Floyd Mayweather that created that. Really? The best ever? Floyd Mayweather created that? I'm pretty sure Ali said that before Floyd, but okay. And as far as the GWOAT, so you just added woman instead of goat. And I'm pretty sure who was the GOAT originally? Sugar Ray Robinson. So she just added a W. So all of a sudden that makes her the best woman boxer of all time. But yet she hasn't done what Sugar Ray Robinson did to earn that title, right? It's interesting. You know, when we come here, we try to have boxing conversations, and then you listen to the rhetoric, the fucking pandering, the blatant lies, the hypocrisy that people consistently spew on their channels. Spew, the perfect word to describe what these people are doing, right? And of course now, a lot of them are in their feelings because Tim Bradley has come out and lambasted Tank Davis again, criticizing him as a 30-year-old prospect, right? And saying the best fight he's had in his career was Petraza, and since then he hasn't done anything. And these are the same people, right, that criticize him and call him all kinds of racial epitaphs, which is kind of funny when you're all about the culture, all about your people. Yet the first thing you do is attack him based on racial stereotypes and ignorant sort of things, right? But everybody else, of course, is a racist. Okay. It's interesting. It's interesting self-hate that spews from many of these channels. I don't always agree with pundits because, I'm a grown-ass man. I can make my own opinions. I don't need to worry about what other people are saying. But what Tim Bradley's saying is what many people have been saying. What people have been saying for fucking probably the last 3, 4, maybe 5 years. We've seen opportunities that Tank Davis and his team walked away from. Multiple opportunities. And whether you want to go back and justify it, defend it, find loopholes to it, now everybody's ducking Tank Davis. But I thought Tank Davis is the A-side. I thought he's the face of boxing, right? Because when you look at Canelo Alvarez, nobody's coming up with excuses that people are ducking him, because what they say is, this is the bag. If you're going to fight Canelo, you're going to get paid the bag. You're going to get paid the highest payday of your career when you face Canelo Alvarez. So if Tank Davis is the GOAT, or sorry, the face of boxing, shouldn't that be true for him as well? Shouldn't everybody be gravitating towards him because it's the biggest money fight of your career? It's ironic how that simple comparison kind of exposes the narrative, right? Because with Tank Davis, it's everyone else is ducking him. But I thought he's the face of boxing. I thought he's the money man, the pay-per-view king, right? He's the one that sold 1.2 million. It wasn't Ryan Garcia. He had nothing to do with it. It was all Tank Davis, right? He's the guy that, sells in every city that he goes to. So if this is the case, it should not be hard to offer a Lomachenko, a Shakur, a Lopez, a Haney, a Zepeda, a Baranchik, or a Keyshawn Davis, or whoever else it might be, a career high payday. Enough for those guys to slide towards you, because it would be the smartest thing of their career. Not only do they get a big name on the resume, but they also get a career high payday that's going to open up more paydays down the road when they kick your ass. It's funny, right? Because that's what happens with Canelo. Canelo could fight anybody, and he's making huge cash, and so are they, because he's the A-side. He's the money man. He is the face of boxing in America, and because of that, he can pick who he wants, pay them career high paydays, and everybody walks away happy, except of course the haters. But the problem with these kind of back and forth, these kind of conversations that we have, the shit ain't ending, because you got these radical fucking fans that are fucking such fanboys to a fighter that you can't have a rational conversation with them. You can't just sit back and spit boxing and break it down and have a rational conversation. No. Because these people are not rational. They're fanboys. They're deluded, right? They can't accept any kind of criticism towards the fighter they love, right? These guys literally have posters of Tank Davis on their walls, right? They took down the pictures of their wives and girlfriends and put up pictures of fucking Tank Davis. That's how infatuated they are with this kid. It's kind of sick, it's kind of twisted, but with woke America the way it is now, who's fucking surprised? Who's surprised? But let me know what you think in the comment section below. Remember to like, subscribe, and share, and I'll see you next time. Peace out.